The fifth topic, we're almost done. To make those short videos actually take me hours, believe it or not. So I'm so happy we're almost done. So the fifth topic, survival of populations. Populations. If you don't understand populations, email me, okay? If after study you still don't understand what are populations, email me. Without understanding this simple, I wouldn't say this is simple. Without understanding this concept, you cannot move on. So what controls population size? Usually a population take off like this. There's a lag phase, okay, with a few individuals. And then it goes through this accelerating exponential growth and then reach this equilibrium. This is a typical growth curve or S-curve. So it cannot go on forever, right? It has a carrying capacity. What is carrying capacity? A number of factors that control the population. Let's look at this. I like this picture so much. One picture tells 1,000 words. So we have a fish population, right? Trying to multiply. They're doing pretty well until there's one day there's no more fish can be existing in this population. Why? Those factors kind of pressing down the number of the population, such as decreasing oxygen supply, low food supply, disease, predators, and space. So those factors are called density dependent factors. And the maximum number of organisms that can survive in a given area, that's called the carrying capacity of that area. So I probably ask you one day, do you think we humans reach our carrying capacity on Earth? As the size of a population increase, the availability of resources decrease, and the population becomes more stressed and susceptible to environmental harms. For example, you put 6 little white mice in a cage, they're pretty happy. And now you put another 6, you can start to see fighting, right? And you can see some of the mice do not like to eat anymore. Some of the mice get depressed and some of the mice get killed. So that is why, because the competition of the space. Assuming you feed them enough food and water. And they can survive, they just do not reproduce. And you wonder why. So the space here is the density dependent factor. So one sentence, these resources and harms are density dependent factors. Those are factors control the size of population. So the population will not go up forever. What are the density independent factors, such as temperature, precipitation, pH, extreme weather, geological events? Those are out of control. That has nothing to do with the size of the populations. However, they have very significant impact on the size of the populations. Now I want to introduce these cute little concepts, K and R strategists. What are the K strategists? I want you to think about elephant. Elephant has to be pregnant probably for 2 years to give birth to a small elephant. And the R strategists, I want you to think about roaches, about flies and mosquitoes. Why they're different? Key strategies, those are the species that have a lower productive rate and take care of their offspring. They care for their offspring, so their offspring can survive and have high quality. They probably don't have a lot of offspring, but they do care of, they do take care of them. The R strategists are species that produce a lot of offspring and has no time and energy to care for each one of them. So as you see those two growth curves, the right one will represent the K strategist, okay? And the left one will represent the R strategist. So for R strategists, they have many seeds, okay? They have many offspring, and they probably take off pretty well, but soon crash and go through this cycle over and over again. So that's the difference between K and R strategists. What caused population traits to change? One is speciation, production of new species, right? When the climate changes, when the geographic changes, that gradually modify the behaviors of the whole population. So eventually, they are farther and farther away from their ancestors and form new species. And I want to go over a few concepts very quickly. Reproductive isolation is resulting incompatibility due to factors, such as the factors I just mentioned to you. Okay, so the populations are isolated. Finally, they cannot breed anymore. Means they are new species. Congratulations. And I want to emphasize inbreeding. Inbreeding is very bad for survival of species. That's why now it's illegal to marry a cousin, right? But the humans cannot marry their close relative anymore because the offspring are not variable and have a lot of deadly mutations. Surviving rate is very low. That's why some of the animals, they are isolated, they are going extinction, they are clustered in small areas, they can only breed, they can only do inbreeding. That's even worse for the population, so eventually the whole thing goes extinct. Genetic drift, that's a change in frequency of a trait. So I want you to read the textbook and understand some of the traits are favorable and some are not, or just depending on the environments and the conditions, right? So eventually we have smaller percentage of the red fish and the yellow fish become more and more dominant. It could be the food resources, right? The yellow fish just more fit for the food, and the red one, or it could be behavior, or they favor different water temperature, different pH, or a different environment. So those cause the genetic drift. That concludes my 5th topic.